We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet with the sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. I want the best on betting weekly, because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Some give us the birds, some give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, bet with the sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to Betting Weekly Live. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of December. You're with Steve Wyss, and I'm delighted to be joined by Nathan Joyes, South American specialist and expert handicapper across world soccer. Nathan, how's it going? Been a really, really busy period of late. Hope you've been cashing a few winners.
Yeah, I think that intro was quite erratic and it sort of summed up my November, to be honest with you. Lots of ups and downs, but started incredibly strong this December. So, I mean, good spirits. I'm excited to get into what seems to be like a more official show with yourself. We normally sort of diving into the nitty gritty, but we've got a full Premier League card here. And obviously we'll be diving into a couple of Brazilian games as well. So yeah, delighted to be here. December's on the up. November has been and gone, and we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, another month, another dollar, as you might say. I mean, look, we were in the middle of this Premier League round. Already we've had some quite incredible games yesterday. Manchester City, 5-1 up, and eventually just holding on to winning 5-4. Newcastle yesterday cost a lot of people, sadly, including Nige and Jack on the Premier League show. I don't know how they didn't win the game. It's completely dominant. Thomas Frank lives again for now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jack Wright for winning his part of the daily double yesterday, by the way. I let the team down. I've not been following the basic rules of betting recently, Nathan. Why did I get involved in the German Cup at that stage of the tournament? I'm not saying I don't ban myself on betting on cups, but I've always said, be careful, be selective. And, that was poor on my behalf. I was betting on Monday night on a team that had played in the Europa League. That's something I don't do. I'm going rogue recently, Nathan.
It's lessons learned though, all the time. I think that's an important part of this, right? We've been in this game a really long time, doing it day in, day out. And sometimes you are like a moth to a flame. You do get lured in by the odd bet, but as long as we learn from it, that's what it's all about, right? You're never going to get a hit every single time. And I think it takes a brave person sometimes to venture outside of your lane. But as long as you know to go back into it and stay there for the majority of the time, I think that's the right way to look at it.
Like a moth to a flame. I like that one. That is an analogy I'm going to use again and again. But I mean, Dave Clark said, I tailed you yesterday, Steve. I hope you tailed the corners, not the daily double. I've been in great form with corners of late, Nathan. The Newcastle game for corners did help me out of a bit of a hole yesterday because the cup competitions didn't serve me well at all. I'm not getting involved in the cups today. You'll be pleased to know, everyone. Full focus on the Premier League, the one La Liga fixture, and of course with Nathan on the show, we've got a Brazilian card later on. And the daily double will be Nathan's in Brazil, so stay tuned for that one. But welcoming everyone. I'll go through as many comments as I can today, but that is basically on the agenda. Villa fan Adam, how you doing? He says, out for Christmas drinks, wearing my Christmas Village shirt. Have a great show and up the Villa. Villa playing today against Brighton, of course. We'll be getting have a few brief thoughts on that one. We're going to be focusing on some certain Premier League games more than others. But yesterday, just some notable winners and losers. The long odds winner, I love this, that producer Joy sends me. $50 someone had on Phil Foden live. This was a live bet to score at least 2 goals in the Man City Fulham game. 22-1 that was. And it netted the bettor over $1,000. Biggest soccer bet on the day was in Brazil. Grêmio Fluminense. It was a loser, over 3.5 goals live at -182. And there was also a good winner, though, in Hertha Berlin, Kaiserslautern, under 3.5 first half goals. at minus 312. That was a winner. I think it might. Yeah, that was a live bet as well. There were early goals in that, so it wasn't the shoe-in that you might think. 14,000 on that. Oh my God! Look at this one here. $10,000 on Man City. This is a pre-game bet. Double chance at minus 625. $10,000. Imagine that 5-1 up, and you're sweating on a $10,000 play at minus 625. That is. Imagine the heart rate of that particular better later on, unless they hedged. I
think if you have that size bet on in a game or in that sort of market, it's not your first rodeo. I'm not saying the heart's not going, but it's probably not your first ever, is it? Let's be honest.
No, probably not. Shout out, as producer Troy says there, to we have some great commenters in chat day on day, and Hertha Berlin, that was the best bet in the German Cup, not my Mönchengladbach pick. St. Pauli were really good in that game, by the way. I don't know where they got it from. Lost 9 of the last 10 games, but produced a great performance in the Cup. The magic of the Cup, that's the problem, Nathan, in Cups. And they never know what you are going to get. Anyway, on to today. I've got a few bets I like today. We actually both agree in this game. You sent me your picks over earlier, and I really like this bet that you've got. We're on exactly the same wavelengths here. Athletic Bilbao against Real Madrid. Real Madrid minus 150 favourites here in the Basque country. Never an easy place to go, in my opinion. No matter what sort of state of affairs Athletic Bilbao are in. And we know they've not been in the greatest of form this season. Nigel referenced last week on the Champions League show. He opposed them in Prague and it worked for him. We know domestically they have struggled, but they have won 2 of the last 3 now in La Liga, albeit against promoted opponents. Usually raise their level for Real Madrid here. Over 2.5 goals at minus 150. Both teams score yet at minus 152. What's your analysis here, Nathan? I know you're going into the goals market for the pick.
Yeah, I was quite surprised at the odds. I was looking at under 2.75 goals on the Asian handicap goal line. I think that really appeals to me. I know you said there that Bilbao have won the last couple of league games, 1-0, 2-0 against recently promoted sides, but they do up the ante against Real Madrid. We see it time and time again with these clashes, whether it's Barcelona, Real Madrid, or even across in the Premier League. When it's a big team, other teams get motivated by that factor. And the fact that Real Madrid are coming into this as a bit of a wounded animal and Alonso feeling the pressure, I think it's going to be a tightly sort of contested match. And even if we look at Real Madrid's last 5 away games, if we can rule out the Olympiacos game, I think, and if we dive into the Elche 2-2 draw, Elche conceded 2 set pieces, and I think Bilbao will be a little bit wiser than Elche were in that particular match. But 1-0 against Girona, where it was an Mbappe penalty, so didn't score in 90 minutes against Girona, was quite concerning. Obviously losing to Liverpool 1-0 and then drawing 0-0 with Rayo Vallecano as well. So there's just not a lot to like against Real Madrid on the road at the moment. And I think Bilbao can hold them. Personally, I've been to Bilbao, I've been to the stadium. Like, it's an incredible atmosphere they deliver. And yes, they've not been the solid selves as they were last year, but I think they'll raise the game here. And I just think that goal line on the Asian is at 2.75 is just a little bit too high for me, which I think creates that value pick. So can't see this getting out of hand. So quote me when this finishes 3-0, but I just don't see it happening at the moment. And with Alonso's comments about his position and how Real Madrid have not really been looking sharp defensively, I'm expecting a reaction from them. But going forward, obviously they're relying on Mbappe at the moment. But it sounds really silly to say, aside from Mbappe, no one's really stepping up. But a penalty against Girona, and that was all. There's just very limited goals in the league on the road at the moment, aside from those 2 set pieces in that 2-2 draw. So, yeah, I think under 2.75 is quite a decent pick.
I fully agree. I really like the under here as well. Same line, under 2.75. I think it's just worth a standard sort of bet. Not a huge one, just a normal bet.
Yeah.
And, you know, our man in Madrid, Rui Barlow, interesting... something he retweeted yesterday from an X account called Emmanuel Lavagres, and he basically, this is expected goals as opposed to goals under achievement. And both of these two sides rank in the top 4 for that this season. Real Madrid are not converting their opportunities at all. Athletic Bilbao are the second worst for this. Real Madrid, the 4th worst for this. Rayo Vallecano are the most underachieving side in front of goal. And I've mentioned them before so much because they don't convert. And that's the problem here. We might get a very good game. We might get an end-to-end game. We might get chances. But neither team is looking like converting them at the moment. Even Mbappe's been a bit... It sounds a weird thing to say for a man who scored 4 goals. He has missed chances as well. But he's not the problem. The rest of the team's the problem. The rest of the team are not converting or not even chipping in, let alone converting. So I think it's... And by the way, the head-to-head here, and head-to-heads have meant nothing this week. I mean, look at Everton against Bournemouth last night. So many people on Bournemouth because of the head-to-head. But I can tell you now, the last time that you would have lost fully on betting on under 2.75 goals in this fixture would have been in COVID times, 15th of December 2020, 14 meetings ago. 9 of the last 12 matches have gone under 2.5 goals, and none of the last 12 have gone over 3.5. And that's the key metric here. You do get half a loss if there's 3 goals exactly. And I'm not seeing where the goals are coming from. At this point in time, maybe Real Madrid can show a bit of Champions quality and win a tight game, but they're not even beating Elche. Girona, 2 sides who they should be beating on the road. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be banking on them. I know Real Madrid might be popular, though, because they always are popular. It's as simple as that. And that's why 95%. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on, Nate.
Nothing in play from those games as well. All set pieces, penalty and 2 corners. So the fact that Real Madrid haven't scored in open play in 180 minutes against that level of opposition is a concern. So I think that's worth flagging.
Yeah, it certainly is. Like I say, 95% of the money is on Real Madrid and 96% of the tickets. In the over-under market, 55% of the money's on the under, which is, I think that's perfectly understandable. 75% of the tickets are on the over. So that suggests quite a lot of recreational money. The smaller tickets are on the over, but the bigger money's on the under. And I think that is the way to go. Father Brown, made me laugh that comment about the COVID one. Dan Roebuck, welcome in, Dan. Good to see you. He's going Athletic Club plus half a goal. RHM saying, don't overthink it though. Real Madrid, easy money. Peter Chalkin says Real Madrid will bounce back one day, and I don't want to be betting against them when that happens. But for me, under. Nathan, big on the under as well. I wouldn't bet on money line. I can't even think of a correct score. I mean, thinking, 1-1 at the minute looks very possible in this game. Real Madrid and King can't resist Real Madrid at this price. It's because they're not often this price in La Liga, as someone said, and that's why it will tease people in. We're going to move to the Premier League. We will go with Brighton against Aston Villa just to start things off. I've got a play in this game, actually. This is one of my... I've gone a bit corner mad recently, and I like the corners again. Going over 9.5 corners here at -122 with Bet Rivers. This is not a ladder match for corners. This is just one bet because both sides can be inconsistent with corners. I think it's a tough match to predict in terms of result. It could go either way, but I do think we're going to see a bit of end-to-end action. Brighton have periods in matches where they're really full on and proper intent, and Aston Villa are quite similar in that way as well. So I think we will get a match where we have periods of kind of calm and periods of mentality where it goes a bit crazy. And I think the corners will naturally come in that sort of thing. I don't think we're going to get a passive game where it just peters out into a 0-0. It could be 0-0, but it won't peter out into 0-0. So it's one of those matches I'm targeting for corners today. I'm also targeting the corners in the Forest match later. But I like the line as well. 9.5 is a low corners line at a viable price. So I'm not laddering this one. This is not two teams that are likely to get involved in like a 15-16 corner shootout. It's the sort of thing where we might get sort of 11, 12 maybe if we get the over. So every sort of unit matters in terms of the build-up. Brighton, Aston Villa, just some brief thoughts, Nathan, on a prediction for this game maybe?
I like your angle there, to be honest with you. I think the fact that Brighton have only conceded 1 in the last 4 and it was a penalty means that the corner bet stacks up in terms of limiting opportunities. But I was immediately drawn to Brighton for this match. But when I saw that they were almost near evens at home, and there wasn't even sort of an angle for a minus 0.25 Asian handicap. It put me off really. So I'll probably follow you in with the corner bet. I do like that particular angle, probably because Brighton are a hard team to break down and Villa are a side that can huff and puff. But it's hard for me to call this one. I think it's on a knife edge really. So I'm avoiding it. Sorry to the listeners here, but there'll be bets throughout the show for sure.
Well, I think the Premier League show had exactly the same problem this week. Nigel Jack Dan. Very hard to find a comfortable, bigger bet in the fixture. I think I do like the over 9.5 corners, like I say. Brian with a good stat there. I did look at the stats for the two teams, and I think the stats are viable in this case because they've had the same manager all season. They play in a similar way all season. And I think that's what we're going to end up with, Father Brian, around about 11 to 12 corners in the game. I don't think it goes crazy. I think it's with a sort of corner bet. The last two I've gave out in the last 2 days, they've cashed by the hour mark. I'm not going to cash by the hour mark with this one. It's probably knocking on the door of. Hopefully, I do. I want it done by half time, but I'm quite willing to bet. To bunker in for the full, 80 to 90 minutes if needed, to get it over the line on this one. I'll tell you some betting splits for the game for those who are interested. It's another sort of split in tickets and money. 64% of the tickets on the money line are on Brighton, but 78% of the money's on Villa. So the professional money's on Aston Villa. And those who do like plus handicaps may well be interested there. 79% of the money's on the over as well, and the over under markets. Okay, we move to Arsenal against Brentford now, a London derby, and I mean I've got to be honest, the Arsenal odds. I know they are missing players in defence, but Arsenal at minus 250 to beat Brentford. Just seems a really big price to me, Nathan. I fully thought this would be knocking on the minus 400 territory. I mean, is it a trap or is it one of those where we just don't really think twice about it? Arsenal in a title race, get the job done.
Any other season, I would have looked at this as a possible trap, but you don't need me to tell you how good Arsenal are, how impressive they are, especially at home. And I just think Brentford have just shown too many weaknesses on the road. Defeats against Palace, Fulham, Sunderland, and Forest. And 3 of those 4 have been by a 2-goal margin. So I like Arsenal to win this on the minus 1.5 handicap and sort of stretch that price even more in around the evens money, maybe a shade over with some bookmakers there. But I just think that they're too good to be, it's almost a price which is too good to be true. And I know sometimes then you can approach that with caution. And yes, I know you said that with a few absences at the back, but the lads who have stepped in, there's just so many options with Arsenal at the moment. And the depth of the squad is just incredibly impressive. You only have to look at that Bayern game in terms of look, Martinelli came on, and yes, I know Bayern made a mistake for that particular goal, but the way in which they can just add players in here to this particular squad and change it up, and it doesn't really weaken them. I think that's what's making Arsenal so strong this season. They can keep that intensity up with whoever comes in. So I think, I agree with you with the Arsenal price. Maybe I'm being a bit greedy here. It's a little bit too short to back on a single, but minus 1.5, considering Brentford's performances away from home, is probably what I'm looking at here. So I think that around evens is a really good bet.
You can actually get Arsenal minus 1.25 on the Asian line at minus 112 now, which might have more appeal. I mean, you've got a half loss if they win by 1 goal. And
which is insane, isn't it, at home?
Yeah, and that's drifted in the last few hours. And look, we know that Gabriel's out. We know William Saliba's out. The difference now for Arsenal is they've got Hincapie and Mosquera, who are much better replacements. I mean, I can't remember who they used to have when Gabriel got injured. It was one of the local lads at Arsenal. I forget his name now, but it was a serious downgrade. Now they've got genuine, international class players who can replace them, and both have looked good as well this season, even though they've not started as much. Brentford, there's an interesting bet there. Slim 88888 says, I like Igor Thiago anytime score at plus 230. Now, he has been in great form for Brentford, of course. I think he's had quite a lot of penalties, hasn't he? Which it'd be asking a lot maybe to get a penalty
one as well. He missed one recently, didn't he? Against
he did. He scored one on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. in the same match.
I
But he
think
has
it's
been
always
on good form.
easy to tail when when a striker's in form. I think it's really easy to go, yes, they're going to score for a 5th time in a row and a 6th time in a row, and it's easy just to keep jumping on that bandwagon. But this is Arsenal away, and I just think sometimes you just have to sit out of it and maybe take a little bit more value on him in the next game. So I can see why punters want to take an opportunity with him, but sometimes you just need to be brave enough to sit out of it and look at the next match where you might get a little bit extra value.
Yeah, Holding, that was it. Saved me there. It was a huge downgrade. No offense to him, and just wouldn't be a player you would want coming in if you're chasing the title, basically. Just looking, Gianeppi's right. Set piece FC versus set piece FC. The ball won't be played that much tonight here, so that could put people off betting on overs, perhaps. Arsenal win 2-0. I think Nigel floated that out on the Premier League show. 2-0 looks about right here. Maybe 3. Brentford's away form is poor. They do have a good record in London derbies. I'll give them that, but this is quite a big increase in class for them to get the result. 98% of the money's on Arsenal. 98% the tickets are on Arsenal. Just 79% of the money's on the over. And I think the drift is simply because of the people see Gabriel and Saliba out, and they are world class. It's the best centre back pairing in the world. But now the downgrade isn't as big as it was, and it's not like they're playing a top team. They're playing a team which is it's certainly a bottom half team, and that should be enough really for Arsenal minus 1.25 or minus 1.5 if you're feeling brave. Pro Soccer Bet says get on the minus 1.5 at plus 230, plus 130. Sorry, if that's your preference, then do that. Absolutely. Prop happens. Everyone's talking about set pieces, so he's curious what the thoughts are for headed shot on target for either team's players. Absolutely. You could look towards that angle. Maybe shots in general. We know the centre-backs for Brentford often get their head on a ball, don't they? The problem is, right, Arsenal just don't concede that many shots, full stop. You know what I mean? It's not like they don't concede many big chances. They don't concede many shots. Brentford probably won't get more than 8 shots in the game, if I'm being honest. So, but I think
people are getting overly excited here. I think with how Brentford have gone above expectations, they've got a striker in form. But this is, if Arsenal can put 3 past Bayern Munich and beat Bayern Munich by a 2-goal margin, that minus 1.25, it's almost worth potentially risking a half loss. But sometimes you just need to really simplify it. And I think maybe the chat is potentially overcomplicating it a little bit and looking more towards Brentford or looking to get Arsenal beat. But this is just a completely different Arsenal squad to what we've seen in years gone by. So, just don't overcomplicate it.
We move to Burnley against Crystal Palace. I've got absolutely nothing for this game, and I don't think you have either, Nathan.
I do.
Oh, you do have for this one. Have I missed a bet for you here?
You have, yeah.
How did I miss that?
Do you want me to?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, I know now. Yeah, anyway. Burnley plus 410. Crystal Palace minus 141, and the tie is at plus 270. The boys on the Premier League show do have multiple units on this match. I put the link in chat there. It's in the goals market, actually. You are looking at a player prop for the game. Palace at minus 141. They were disappointing against Man United. Will it actually suit them now that they're used to playing midweeks as opposed to Burnley now this season? Obviously, are not.
Yeah, potentially. I hope so, because I'm going to be back in Mateta to score. I think plus 240 is a nice price. It's obvious to get involved with the goals, so I'm trying to squeeze a bit more juice out of this. But just a little dive into why Burnley are conceding, how they're conceding. And in 4 of the last, we know they've conceded 10 in the last 5. It's easy to look through, well, more than that actually, so at least 2 in the last 5 games, But within that, in 4 of those 5 games, a striker has scored. In 2 of those 5, a penalty has been scored against them. So we know that Mateta takes penalties. We know obviously how strong he is. 7 goals in 13 games this season. If Palace are going to score 2 or 3, I think 9 out of 10 people would say that Mateta's going to be on the score sheet. And I just think Burnley's backline are going to be a bit fragile and a bit frail against him. So I think the fact that it shows that teams are getting their strikers in behind and strikers are enjoying playing against Burnley sort of feeds into this bet a little bit more, rather than defenders or midfielders and finding space in behind. It's very much down to strikers who are finding gaps and creating opportunities. So look, Mateta's been incredible this season. I mean, as he sort of finished last season as well, and just a top striker who can bully Burnley's defence here. And I think plus 240 is a really nice price. And I'm not one to normally put goal scorers out there, but it was a price that stood out to me, so I'm happy to put that up.
Mateta to score in the match anytime, minus 106, plus 240 to score anytime. We like both of those. I'm struggling for the game, I must say. It's a tough one. I was actually looking towards Eddie Nketiah as well, at a big price to score anytime if he gets the chance. He doesn't always start. It might be the sort of game where they put both on the field together. Actually, who you're going to call when you need a goal? Eddie Nketiah. Burnley are poor. They are poor, limited. They might look at this as a winnable game, but all their home games have been unders so far this season. And Palace did a job at Wolves 2-0. It screams of something similar, I think, perhaps. 88% of the money's on Palace, 85% of the tickets are on Palace, 62% of the money's on the over, which means it's not particularly fancied overall. Mateta linked to AC Milan, said Brad Betts Footy. I mean, it's about time he got linked with, a seriously big club. I think Palace are a big club, but I mean that's no surprise to me. Pro Soccer Bets Club says Brentford are overrated by the books. I have them bottom 6 for sure. I agree with you. I don't think Brentford are that great in this one, and I think Burnley are the worst, probably the worst team in the Premier League, even worse than Wolves now that Wolves have got a new boss. So there we go. That's the Palace game. Now on to your team, Nathan. I do believe Wolves against Nottingham Forest. A little birdie told me you're a Forest fan. Anyway, Forest at plus 125 against Wolves, plus 225. A tie plus 230. This is another match. I like the corners over 9.5 corners at minus 125 with Bet Rivers. Forget the overall season stats because both teams have got new managers now. Just think about Rob Edwards against Sean Dyche. And both Edwards, mouth-watering, isn't it? Edwards definitely likes to prioritise set pieces. He will have worked on Wolves set pieces, and we know Sean Dyche. Basically, I mean, I like what he does. He keeps it simple, back to basics. If in doubt, knock it out, sort of thing, and then attacking as well. Keep it simple, nothing too fancy. So I think we can get over 9.5 corners here. Again, I'm not laddering it. I liked what I saw from Wolves against Aston Villa, I must say. But I have a really good saying in soccer and in betting. Bad things happen to bad teams, and bad things happen when you bet on bad teams. So my gut feeling actually tells me Wolves could get something here, but there's no way. I am sticking to the rules here. I'm not putting a cent on Wolves at all. And, ultimately, they'll probably find a way to lose the game, Nathan, I would expect.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have any thoughts on this particular match. I haven't watched either team play this season. I've not watched Forest. I've barely watched Wolves. So it's probably best passing this one over for me. So we'll stick to your corner ladder again. You
are a Forest fan. Can you reveal that? Or
I used to be a Forest fan, but that's a conversation for another day for sure.
Another day. We'll have to have that conversation on the betting zoo. We'll get you on the betting zoo one day.
It'll be an interesting one for sure.
An interesting one. Wolves win either half at minus 138 is great in my opinion, says Father Bryant. Brad Brett's Footy is looking for early goals. It's over, not had a 0-0 in 68 straight games. Brad Brett's Footy, is that right? Really? That seems surprising to me. I think Wolves are going to have to give it a go here. I really do. They played. I thought they were worthy of a point at Villa, but find a way to lose the game. 89% of the money's on Forest, 80% of the tickets are on Forest, and 95% of the money's on the over for this game. And I could see that. Morgan Gibbs White has scored a goal in 3 of Forest's last 4 Premier League games, stat from producer Troy. And of course, he goes back to his former club now. It's always a bit spicy when these two sides meet. I could see a few cards as well. But yeah, I'm hoping a bit end to end and we see some corners. Talk about spice. Ellen Road, Leeds against Chelsea. people were asking yesterday, why are Leeds and Chelsea rivals? There was a great video put up today. I think it was Lewis Deaton on X, who basically 60 years of rivalry between the two teams. It is a purely soccer thing. It's not a geographical thing. Goes back a long way. But Chelsea minus 122 to win at Ellen Road. Leeds at plus 320. Daniel Farke, we know he's under pressure. The suggestion is if he loses to either Chelsea or Liverpool, he's going to be out of a job, or he's got to win one of the next two games. He's under serious pressure. And normally I'm a Leeds fan, and it's been difficult. We probably want Daniel Farke out, really. But I do think the fans will get behind the team tonight because it's Chelsea at home. I don't think the players will lose the fans right until the end of the game, perhaps. So I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit. I'm not getting involved in the game. I might look at the cards for those who can access those. Chelsea at minus 122, though, that's going to be a popular bet. I know a lot of people have been targeting them, the team total, player props on Chelsea. And Nathan, you're keeping it quite simple as well here. Away win.
Yeah, it sucked me in. I know there's the rivalry there. I know there's the pressure on Leeds. And obviously, you can talk about Leeds till the cows come home, but I can probably talk up Chelsea. I just think they've just been incredibly impressive. And it's a case of what if last weekend, if Caicedo wasn't reckless and didn't get that sending off, like they probably would have beaten Arsenal. But look, we will never know. The fact that they can bring in Andre Santos as a replacement, similar to what I said about Arsenal earlier on in the show, Chelsea have just got so much strength in depth here, so much quality to hurt teams in the final third. Yes, they've been brilliant at home, but like when we're not really analysing these games too often, but their 2-0 away win at Turf Moor was just excellent. They've got so many fixtures to compete with at the moment, but they can rotate whoever they start in that front line. I think they look dangerous in behind, very solid. So yes, they're performing incredibly well at Stamford Bridge, but performances on the road haven't been bad either. And if they can't beat Leeds, then they don't deserve to be in the title race as far as I'm concerned, especially with Leeds' current form. So I think how strong they've been in the Premier League, and yes, Caicedo's out, but they've got adequate replacements and they can mix it up. They can change it around the 60th, 70th minute mark and it doesn't weaken them. So this is why Chelsea and Arsenal are at the top of the table, because they have the biggest and the best squads. And obviously, I can't finish off without saying they have Esteval. And if you've got Esteval on the pitch, you have a brilliant chance of winning football games. So the price on Chelsea is just too good to ignore.
Yeah, it's a good test for Esteval. Can he do it on a cold night in Leeds? I think I said I tweeted at the weekend that the result and performance against Man City was about the worst result we could have had. We either needed to get beaten big or actually get points. Ultimately, Leeds got no points against Man City at the weekend, despite the second half comeback. And, Chelsea, they're the squad that are best suited for the whole season in terms of rotation. The depth they've got is incredible. They can use it here. And if Chelsea rock up and get a comfortable win, I would not be surprised at all. Where's the comment there? Abdul Hamid, he says, Chelsea moneyline, sorry, Steve, you're getting battered. Look, if we get beaten big, I'm not actually okay with it, because I still think we need to change the manager. What we don't want, again, from our perspective, is a close loss where it's a valiant, brave defeat. We either need points or need change. So there's a lot on the line here. It wouldn't honestly surprise me if that minus 122 on Chelsea looks massive come the final whistle. I'm not going to bet on it, which suddenly we've got a little bit more hope as Leeds fans, which is dangerous territory. Card line is 4.5. For those who can access that, then that will be tempting, because the tackles will fly in here. The referee might let a few things go. Red card, yes, is at plus 320. Would I be surprised if this match had less than 22 players on the field at the end? No,
it's a shame Caicedo suspended, because he'd be a candidate for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a few candidates. I think Chelsea, I've praised them for their squad depth and stuff, but they're quite young, which is another good thing. But mentally, sometimes you can lose your head a bit.
I agree.
And Leeds as well. I mean, the Leeds have had a few players lucky not to get sent off recently. So I think we're in for a spicy one. Let's see how that one goes. 98% of the money's on Chelsea, 99% of the tickets, 97% of the money on the over as well, which is over 2.5 goals for this game. I considered the overs, actually. Minus 139. There's a few liking the overs here. And I could see goals, because I think Leeds just go for it and perhaps at some stage here. Okay, one more Premier League game to discuss. It's Liverpool Sunderland. The only sort of bets I've seen floating around for this game is Sunderland on the handicap, really, Nathan. I don't want to get involved with Liverpool right now. They surprised me a little bit by doing the professional job at West Ham, and Sunderland are as good as they've been this season. This is still a trip to Anfield on a midweek card. It might be just asking too much for them to get anything here. No bet for me personally. Liverpool, I can't trust them. Sunderland, I am honestly waiting for the Sunderland bubble to burst now. Nath, I've got to be honest. I thought it was going to happen at the weekend and they came back. My best guess here would be Liverpool do get the job done, but I don't know how, how many goals.
Yeah, if my hand was forced, I'm not putting up a selection here, but I'd probably look at Liverpool and unders, maybe under 4.5 to sort of pad out the bet, mainly because Sunderland have only scored 3 on the road. I think a lot of people will, anytime Liverpool playing at the moment, I think punters' tails are wagging a little bit. I think they're looking at an opportunity to either get them beat or look at the Asian handicap line. I don't see any appeal on Sunderland's Asian handicap line, which may not make sense to a lot of people, but I think Liverpool can repeat a professional job against West Ham. I agree with you here. I think Sunderland's beach ball will burst at some point if we want to throw that in there. But I think, look, if Liverpool race into say Liverpool go 1 or 2 goals up, they're going to try and potentially sit on that. And Sunderland haven't shown too much on the road. Yes, that Chelsea result, and obviously that was 2 of their 3 goals, but they've just been, it's chalk and cheese for them on the road, and this is an opportunity for Liverpool to build. But that's only if my hand was forced. I'd look at Liverpool and under 4.5. But I can understand how that sounds crazy to some people as well. So it's just a suggestion on how I see the game going, but it won't be an official play from me.
I think 2 things happened at the weekend which were important for Liverpool. Isak getting his first goal, and it was a good finish.
Yep.
And the clean sheet, which is something they've not had much of this season. It just felt like a professional performance. And Nuno's no mug at all, as you know. He's no mug. And, I just think Sunderland have been very, very plucky this season, especially at home. And they did have that great result at Stamford Bridge as well. But apart from that, away from home, they've not offered much.
Yeah,
for me, Sunderland. I totally get where A's coming from. PSV were 10-1 to win at Anfield, and they got the job done. I just think PSV, weirdly, have more offensive firepower than Sunderland, or more willing to have a go. Reggie Slubbery, I think, will sit back here. And if they stay within 1 goal, it's game on. But if Liverpool do get into that lead by a couple of goals, I think it'll be really difficult for them, Sunderland, in the game. I'm not getting involved. Tough one to call. As you might expect, the money is very much in the court of Liverpool for the fixture. 95% of the money are on Liverpool. 81% of the money is on the over in this match as well. So that's the Premier League card. Remember, check out the Premier League show from Nigel, Dan, Jack, and they've got all thoughts on these games. Which the episode was released on Monday. If you like what you've seen as well, do consider signing up to the Because We Win Betting Weekly Studios.com newsletter. Totally free. 2 out of 2 winners on Monday's newsletter. This week we have 2 per week, including the in-depth insider edition, which comes on Friday afternoon into your inbox. Totally free. Do sign up for those who've not already. It's well worth your while. And there'll be tennis content coming your way in that when the just a month away from the resumption of the tennis season, of course, and American sports we have on that handicap as well. The Daily Double, Duncan, don't worry, it's coming your way because we've got a full Brasileiro card. Brazil, 7 matches on the slate, Nathan. Well, let's get into the Daily Double now because it involves the Fortaleza game and the Santos fixture. Let's start with the Fortaleza against Corinthians there. We're getting right. We're nearly at the final round, aren't we? The final round of the weekend.
Final round weekend, yeah.
Yeah, these are the fixtures that everyone's got to play to make sure they're at 37 games, basically. So, Fortaleza Corinthians, what's the pick here?
Anyone who wants to find out what all the fuss is about, if I haven't managed to entice you into Brazilian football, this is the round, and this is also one of the fixtures to keep an eye on. Fortaleza were dead and buried 2 or 3 months ago, but an 8-match unbeaten run and won their last 3 games in a row has lifted them to 40 points, just 1 point out of the relegation zone. I can't knock them. I'm pretty angry because I bagged them at 13-8 to be relegated, and that was absolutely sliced by about 8 only about 6 weeks ago. But fair play to them. They've fought back here. And what's the most ridiculous thing about this game is Corinthians, who are sat in 9th, can still get relegated. And they head to Fortaleza with so many players out injured, suspended, or just in bad form in general. But if we look at this, Fortaleza won the last 3 matches. This home ground is going to be absolutely rocking. Momentum is fully with this side, where Corinthians probably, I know they can get relegated, but they've probably done just enough. And they have a home fixture where they probably just need 1 more point, but they can't get Libertadores. This team is probably quite unmotivated. But the biggest part of this bet is Memphis Depay. He's not played. He's not playing. Sorry, he's not travelled. Yuri Alberto, the star striker, he's got a groin injury. He's out injured as well. Rodrigo Garro, who's arguably their best number 10 aside from Depay, he's out injured as well. A couple of suspensions, and it's just a case of similar tactics to what you said to me before, Steve. Back the side who are motivated, back the side who need something. And Fortaleza have been fighting for their lives, but have picked up some very strong results of late. Like beating Bahia on the road 3-2 was just insane. Like their home form has been incredible. Going to Bragantino and winning was a solid result. And then backing that up with a 1-0 win against Miniero. That's 3 in a row now. And before that, they beat Flamengo at home 1-0, albeit a slightly rotated Flamengo side, but to still beat who are going to be the champions by the end of this round, more than likely, was an incredible result. So Fortaleza's current price is bonkers. I can't see Corinthians doing anything here. Their away record, they've lost 3 out of the last 5. One of them was against Santos and Bragantino, but got absolutely battered 3-0 against Cruzeiro without them getting out of second gear. So I can't see anything for Corinthians here. Lacking all their star players, Fortaleza is a really confident pick for the daily double.
Yeah, Fortaleza money line. That's the first part of the daily double. I mean, I'm just looking at this table now. I mean, you do well to make money in this league, Nathan. I remember a year where I think it was in Norway, maybe 3 years ago, where there was very little separating the whole bottom half of the table. I prefer divisions where there's a clear golfing class, both at top and bottom. I mean, this is crazy. You know, 8th place is 48 points, and 18th place is on 40.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the maths are. Maybe some of these teams in 8th, 9th, 10th are already mathematically secure. I don't know. Because
it's from 9th to 18th can still get relegated.
Incredible. What I do notice, and this happens in a lot of leagues at this stage of a season, is teams in, say, the bottom 5 or 6 are starting to get results. Teams at the top and fighting for stuff, they're getting results. It's these mid-table sides that there's a lot of losses on the card from the likes of Sao Paolo, Corinthians, Gremio, Vasco. Red Bull have lost the last couple of games because they think they're safe. They've got enough points and they're downing tools and on the beach. And there's plenty of beaches in Brazil. Go on, isn't there? Maybe the best selection in the world, nearly. But
I completely agree with you. But it's also a yes and no. And this is what makes this league so unique, is the fact that if you finish in 17th, you are relegated to Serie B. If you finish in 13th, you're going to the Copa Sudamericana next season. It's only teams who finish 14th, 15th, and 16th don't get any competition or relegated. So it's bonkers within itself, but there's always someone who's fighting for something, and I think that always provides an edge. So people can look at this league, and it is an incredibly hard league to bet on, but if you stick with it, and obviously I'm covering it in great detail and hopefully getting a daily double here as well, but there's always a slight angle, and I think the bookmakers have completely missed how Corinthians are a lot quite short here.
Yeah, Fortaleza money line. That is the first part of the daily double. Producer Troy kindly gave me some betting breakdowns for this match, and it is, if I can find it, 88% of the money and 73% of the tickets on Fortaleza. But on what you're saying there, it should be higher, certainly in terms of the tickets. And I think that's probably just simply you look at a name and you think Corinthians. Yeah. They're a bigger name, aren't they? And people get on them. By the way, you can live stream this game on the BetRivers app or betrivers.com, all the Brasileiro games, the 7 games, I think, isn't there? You can also watch Athletic Bilbao versus Real Madrid on the live stream. And if you're interested in the Turkish Cup, the Greek Cup, The Dutch Cup as well is streamed live, and Austrian Bundesliga Sturm Graz against Tirol is on the card. Coppa Italia is live streamed, and the Belgian Cup as well. I've had enough of cups. Peter Chalkins, I like your theory there in the DFB Pokal, Holstein Kiel +1, and I wish you the best of luck. And I'm sure it cashes. I'm just done with cups for a bit. So yeah, on to the second part of the Daily Double.
Yes.
We don't have to go far down the card here. This is Juventud against Santos. Juventud put up a good fight, didn't they, to be fair? It looked like they were down and out, and they gave it a good go. Just the other teams around them getting too many points. They are now officially relegated. But Santos have needed to get results of late, and they've been getting them, Nathan. They need another one here, though. -141. Are you trusting Santos?
Oh, for some reason, I am going to try and talk through my logic here, because Santos haven't won any of their last 8 away games, but I just think that they're going to get out of jail for at least last until the weekend. Juventud, yes, they've been excellent of late, just fallen short. They had a really competitive game against Bahia on the weekend. They drew 1-1. They needed to win that game. They threw everything at it. The players were dead on their feet by the end of that match, but relegation has been confirmed. So how they approach this game, I'm not too sure. Where Santos, their away record has been atrocious, but recent results have been very solid. They beat Palmeiras 1-0 in the final minute at home, drew with Mirassol, who have got the Libertadores and look like they're going to finish 4th. Drew away against Internacional, who I'm going to mention in a minute, 1-1, which was okay, and then beat Sport Recife, who are relegated 3-0 at home. And Neymar, who's playing through injury at the moment, scored in that game, and he's sort of leading the charge with however fit he still is. He's desperate to be on the pitch, and how Santos need him. But what has this unique edge to this match is the fact that Internacional, who were 3rd favourites to win the league, are currently sat in 17th. It's been an incredibly disappointing season for them. But Internacional, Juventud, huge rivals. And there's been cries from fans, etc., for Juventud almost to throw the game. It's been confirmed by the manager, Shock, that he's not going to throw the game. But it just depends who's going to rotate, who's going to play, how are they going to approach it, away from the International argument and what goes on there. I'm sure there'll be lots of sort of talk around whatever the result is after this particular match, with so much at stake. But Santos have improved a lot of late, and I think if they had multiple away games within this current run, they may have already snuck a victory. So don't let that away form necessarily put you off. But they do go to Juventud with Neymar leading the line, unbeaten in 4. Juventud have just been relegated. So Santos, this is your chance here, and this is an opportunity for Neymar to rescue Santos and just get them over the line and steer them away from relegation. So it's another motivation factor, and then throwing in the whole International argument as well is really interesting to see how the hosts approach this game. But I think Santos can get over the line here and hopefully complete the double.
That is the Daily Double then. Fortaleza moneyline and Santos moneyline, and it pays a juicy +205 with Bet Rivers. Get on that now. Plenty of time to get that on as well. Several hours away. So good luck with that Daily Double, Nathan. And in terms of the betting splits for this game, 90% of the money and 82% of the tickets are on Santos. The money is also trusting Santos, like you are, Nathan, here. Motivation is really important. It sounds like with Juventud there, it's one of those you lose the game and the fans are more happy. It's the way
it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those in soccer. Look, we are running a bit out of time, but I will get a prediction from you for the rest of the games quickly. A Red Bull against Vitoria here. Both teams still in that relegation battle, of course. Which direction would you go if you had to?
This one's a really tricky one. I probably have a tiny stake on Vitoria, double chance. Another team fighting for it. I don't think Bragantino necessarily need the points, but Vitoria have really improved of late. Beat Mirassol last time out as well, and beat Sport Recife 3-1 on the road. Unbeaten now in 5. So maybe they can frustrate Bragantino.
Yeah, Sao Paulo against Internacional. I mean, if International now went down, would it be one of the biggest teams to get relegated in say the last decade? But they're plus 170 here to beat Sao Paulo, who, as far as I'm concerned, don't have that much to play for.
Sao Paulo can barely put 11 players on the pitch. They have so many injuries. Fluminense beat them 6-0 last time out, whereas Internacional, there's not much faith in them either because Vasco beat them 5-1, having lost 3 or 4 games in a row before that as well. So I like the over goal line here. Internacional have to go for it. Sao Paulo are better at home. There'll be expectations from the fans for them to finish strong, but defensively they're a shambles. And I just think this game could just blow wide open, and over 2 Asian line, so a refund on 2 was probably my best bet for this match. But yeah, if International now go down, this is a huge, because considering they went into the season as one of the favourites to win the league and they are 17th, it's a crazy story. But yeah, both teams, both their last games had 6 goals involved, so I'll be very surprised if there's not goals in this match.
If they go down, is it a simple case of easily bounce back, or could it ruin a club in Brazil?
I'd be very surprised if a club like Internacional, because Serie B it's competitive, but International Santos just bounced back. They got relegated for the first time, bounced back, and now they're back in like a relegation
4 up as well,
down again. Yeah, it's 4 up as well, automatic, no playoffs, no messing about. So yeah, they should bounce back.
Bahia against Sport Recife. I mean, this is rock bottom Sport Recife. Just 2 wins all season. Bahia really look to me like they've got pretty little to play for overall, apart from maybe they could get as high as 5th eventually. Minus 480 though. Is this an easy handicap, or is the cellar dweller going to get a random result before the end of the season?
Well, they still have something to play for. It's unlikely, but if you finish in the top 5, you go straight to the Libertadores group stage and you get a bit more money in your back pocket rather than having to play the qualifiers at the start of the season, which can then add to your congested fixture list, and you could be finishing the season on 70, 75 games easily. So the hosts have been in incredible form of late. I can understand why the price is so short. I'd probably I think there's a few angles here. I think the Asian handicap line is pretty solid. They've got a striker called Adamir, who I'd probably fancy to get on the score sheet as well. He's been in very good form of late as well, and plays on the right wing, cuts in, really good left footer, scored a screamer against Juventud last time out. So maybe that's an angle if you don't want to go chasing goals, because Sport Recife have lost the last 9 and they are dead and buried with about 15, 16 points. Yeah. So that's why the price is incredibly short, because the hosts have to win. So it could be one of those games which goes 3-4-5-0 easily.
Palmeiras, they're done, aren't they? Plus 140 here. Who would back them now on their current form and after the Copa Libertadores result? Atletico Miniero still need points in the battle against relegation. Is this a home handicap, Nathan? That would seem obvious to me.
Yeah, home handicap. Palmeiras can still win the league, but it's just highly unlikely. And as Tim Vickery pointed out when the Libertadores final was concluding, that Palmeiras are just dead on their feet. Like, it's been announced, like, behind the scenes, how they're just sort of dragging themselves almost to the finish line here. So I think they're going to be very unmotivated. I think Miniero still need the point. So I think Miniero and a draw no bet line, or if you can get a little bit of juice on the plus on the Asian line, I think they're worth a chance. They've not been in great form themselves, but I think they would like to get a number over Palmeiras, and it's their last home game of the season.
Flamengo can win the title, of course. A point looks like it'll be enough on goal difference. Ceara deep in that relegation battle. Do both teams take a point and move on, or Flamengo win it in style?
Neither. Flamengo win it conservatively. I think it's going to be. I think Flamengo are also dead on their feet as well. I think it's going to be a case of adrenaline getting them over the line. But this finished 1-1 in the reverse fixture, and Ceara are in there fighting for their lives. Got a nice 1-1 draw with Ceara last time out. So Flamengo in under 3.5. If you were to force my hand here, I don't think it's a game which will get out of hand. And Ceara aren't a team who scored too many. And I think because they just need a point, they're going to try and put bodies behind, because they've got Palmeiras on the last day of the season. So although unmotivated, Cruzeiro Flamengo, Palmeiras, the top 3 in the last few games to stay up is a harsh draw, but how they would love a point at Americana, but I just don't see it happening.
Nathan, we love your analysis on Brazilian soccer. Thanks so much for that breakdown. I'll ask you for your best bet of the day in a minute, but this is a reminder of the daily double. It is in Brazil. It's Fortaleza money line and Santos money line at plus 204. Really juicy odds, those ones. My best bet of the day, it's got to be the corners. Wolves Forest, followed by Brighton Villa, over 9.5 corners for both of those games. What would your best bet on the whole card be today, Nathan?
I think I'd surprise people if I didn't say Fortaleza. I think Fortaleza can take advantage of Corinthians' many absences in this match and the desperate need for 3 points, but they can win 4 games in a row.
Check out Betting Weekly Live US edition. That is at 4 p.m. Eastern time with Doug Kazarian and Mike Carver. We look forward to that. Tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live, we've got an interesting duo of Dan Roebuck and Will White will be on the show. And on Friday, we have a special edition World Cup live draw reaction. It's going to be a 4-man crew. We're going to be 1 hour later. We're going to be starting at midday Eastern time, and we're going to be live on air throughout the World Cup draw reactions to that. Nathan's going to be on with me, Nigel, Dan Roebuck. We're going to be breaking down who's going to be in a good position, and just for a good time, general chit chat. You'd rather listen to us than listen to Robbie Williams, right? Or whoever they've got signed up there now. So looking forward to that one on Friday, Nathan, for the World Cup draw.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some groups I really want to see. We probably won't get them, but hopefully the draw can be kind in terms of entertainment. But thanks so much, everyone who joined live or on demand. A massively busy day again. Loads of comments in chat, loads of bet suggestions. Best of luck, whatever you are taking. Do remember to gamble responsibly. Check out the Premier League show again, like I said, with the boys, and they've got to break down all these matches. And let's hope we catch that daily double. I'll see you Friday on Betting Weekly World Cup live draw. But until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Goodbye.